Hello, today is December 11th. This information is about the Salvador Dalí painting, and this is the year 2020. The Salvador Dalí painting was the painting where George Washington was blindfolded, carrying a ball and chain on his ankle, and holding the scales of justice. That particular painting was around 1952 to possibly 1957, somewhere in there. He was painting about the George Washington bloodline leading the sad parade to world destruction, and that they were blindfolded, they had a ball and chain on them, they basically can't see, and they're hooked because of generations of being imprisoned, from my opinion and from my observations of them. They were also raised from birth the same way every time. Tortured, raised by he, she's, molested, etc. Same thing, different generation. He put behind George Washington in that painting, and all of this is on my Facebook and on TikTok also. Kim Nolan 5 on TikTok and Kim Nolan in Largo, Florida on Facebook. In the painting, he put a bent over old man with a cash drawer coming out of his belly. He was saying that that old man was a cash cow and that he was being tortured by the House of Saudi Arabia. Now, in my opinion, that particular area of the painting is talking about Salvador Dalí, who is the biological son of Nikola Tesla, aka the Prince of Denmark, Prince Andrew. Those two were treated most likely the same way, just as the George Washington bloodline got one brainwashing, torture, abuse. The bloodline of Nikola Tesla, aka Prince of Denmark, was also getting tortured, abused a different way, and he's saying that in the painting by putting the House of Saudi Arabia on his back, torturing him. He was saying in that painting that the House of Saudi Arabia was torturing him and his father. And when you look how skinny this old man is in this painting, they starved Nikola Tesla most likely to his death. And if you look at the pictures of Nikola Tesla older and the pictures I put on Facebook and on TikTok, you'll see that this man has been starved. Now, behind that is a piggy with a House of China flag over the pig, and it is carrying the massive amounts of wealth via the safe on its back, and the House of India on top of that. In that particular area of the painting, he's saying that the Pompeo bloodline, Mike Pompeo or the Thomas Edison, that's the same bloodline. I call them the ogres. That's what we would have called them 100 years ago. That bloodline, in his opinion, were called the pigs. And they were holding the wealth for India and the House of China. And they were also banked by them, by the House of China and India, the House of India, which is the Mike Ansari bloodline, if you want to look at what they look like. The two houses controlled the pigs, and that's what he called them, to describe them. It also could include the dwarf population, since the dwarf population was contracted. And you can look way back in our folklore for Snow White. That's why those 7 dwarfs were out there in the mountains, or in the not the jungle, but the forests. They were living in the forest, but they were tunneling into the mountains to hide the massive amounts of wealth that these people have always stolen from humanity. We dig it up to live because you had to have gold, silver, jewels to live, and they would always extract it because they need to keep the world in poverty to keep their game going. You see what I mean? They're the ones that said that this stuff was worth something, so they made it the lost souls, made it where if you had gold, silver, and jewels, you lived. If you did not, then you did not eat, you died. And they promoted this pyramid scheme. That's why they tried to take over all the family farms and everything, because those people were very self-sufficient. They were also, the farmers were also feeding the people and bartering. And they didn't want people bartering. So that's what that part of the painting is about. It's about the dwarf population, some of them being very, very dirty. The piglets were being very, very dirty when they held on to the maps of where they hid the gold, silver, and jewels. They became possessed by possessions. That's why they're called possessions. I know it's not nice, but this is just what I see when I decipher this painting. Behind that is the camel, and it is the House of Saudi Arabia. The House of Saudi Arabia being contracted to destroy the planet by the quote-unquote Industrial Revolution. We've had technology that blows that petroleum crap away with just solar energy and other means of energy. We've never needed it. Even before they built this prehistoric bullshit, we never needed it. So this was their way again of killing the planet. They were always hell-bent on killing the planet. What idiots. So if you kill a planet, you can't live on it. It's too toxic. That's what they wanted. They want to kill all people, kill the planet. They want to kill all organic females. They just want male, castrated male sex slaves. That's all they want. So behind that, I'm trying to think because I don't have the picture right in front of me. You see Theodore Roosevelt and George Washington with the smoke coming up above their head, and Caesar is crying. He's saying that his ancestor is crying because of the George Washington and Theodore Roosevelt bloodlines going dirty. They got bought out. You can get bought, bent, broken, bribed into being a Satanist. And he's saying that they were bought into world destruction and that they were investing in the Industrial Revolution, and that's just a term for world destruction, and that they were banking from it. So he says they're dirty. And then the whole thing is being driven by the House of China. The crazy train is being driven by the dragon, the House of China. They wanted to destroy the planet. They controlled all of these other bloodlines. Ultimately, they did this to the Asian world already. And they couldn't quite get away with it in the Caucasian world, so they had to contract the House of Saudi Arabia and the ogres. Way back in the day. They wanted to keep a couple slaves because they refused to take care of themselves. They refuse to do anything for themselves. They think it's below them to do anything but be a parasite on humanity. A parasite definition is someone who lives off of the human population, or a living host. A parasite needs a living host. These people cannot survive unless they are living off of a human host. That is why they are being picked up and brought in. COVID is, again, a code name for people that have been arrested, in my opinion. If they're DOA like Yeager, Chuck Yeager, that's another code for this person is imprisoned. There is also another interpretation, and the COVID diagnosis is possibly that we have the goods on this person and we are bringing them in. And DOA, if they're DOA at this point, they're already in prison. That could be what is going on. Either way, the evidence is there to arrest these people, in my opinion. And in time we'll find out if that is correct. But that's my interpretation of this painting. I believe that this has already been done to Mars. Again, this is my opinion, because I'm not there in Mars. But this is my opinion of what they've already done to Mars. So they felt that they could do this to planet Earth. I don't believe that Mars is actually dead, but it's so toxic, in my opinion, that no living organism could possibly live there at this moment. And so they were going to attempt to do this to planet Earth.